If you like the ThruNite Archer Mini's small size and respectable output, then you're going to love what ThruNite did to the Archer Pro. Welcome back to Schullites. I've got the ThruNite Archer Pro with me, which takes the Archer Mini's design and kind of improves it in two major areas. One is it's more than double the output, and now it has a ramping UI, which really, I liked the simplicity of the two modes on the Archer Mini. But if you wanted something lower than its lowest, or in the middle between its low and its high, you just didn't have any options. Now, with the ramping UI, you can set to exactly where you want. Let's dive right in and note that you get a box like this with a little insert. It's got a little charging cable, and then there is a folded kind of pamphlet manual like this. The manual is pretty good, and it's in all like 8 languages or something like that. Now, the light itself, it looks a lot like the last one. It's just a little bit longer and a little bit girthier. There's a larger battery in here, and it runs longer this time. The last one on its lowest mode ran about 8 hours. This one now is quoted as running days. So that's because it has a larger battery, and it can go even lower. We're gonna get at that in the UI section. Let's take a look at a size comparison really. C64LE. These are known to be really tiny lights. Here is a Hank Light D4V2. You can see that it's definitely smaller than that. And just to keep the Ray theme going, here is a Triple Dawn. So it is a small, kind of thin light, maybe just a hair longer than, like there, hair longer than this very tiny Zebralight SC64C LE. So that makes it a very tiny light. Let's talk about the ergonomics for a moment here. It's got this black, hard anodizing Type 3, very durable. It's got a two-way clip, so it can deep pocket carry this way, or you can put it on a ball cap this way as a headlamp. And the charging port is one of my favorite features on the Archers because it is hidden by this bezel that you kind of unscrew like this, and it's captive. This will not come off. And once you've unscrewed it, you turn it around, and there is a USB-C charging port. On the other side, so once you plug in the cable here, on the other side, there is a little light. And the light goes red to mean it's charging, and when it's finished, it turns blue. And then there's a little O-ring right here, and you screw this back down, and it is watertight again. Again, I wouldn't swim with it, but you can definitely splash it and use it in the rain. It's got an IPX8 rating, which means 2 meters for, I think, 10 minutes. So I wouldn't swim with it, but it should be watertight. All right, let's take a look at the UI, which is vastly improved from the previous Archer Mini. If you click and turn it on to low, then you click and hold, and it will ramp up. And when it reaches the top of ramp, you're gonna get some confirmation flashes that tell you you're at the top. So this is now the highest that it goes. In high, that is. There's a turbo that I'll show you in a second. But if you click and hold again, it will now go down, and then when it hits the bottom of the ramp, it will flash. Now, if you continue holding, it'll come back up, and when you let go, it just stays wherever you've put it. Now, that turbo I was telling you about, you just double tap, it goes straight to turbo. Unfortunately, there's no double tap to return to the previous mode. You just tap it off once and tap it back on, and it'll go to the last mode that you were memorized. So for example, let me go down. And now that at the bottom of the ramp, if I double tap, you'll see I'm on turbo. If I tap off, when I come back on, it will be on low. But notice that when I'm on turbo, if I double tap again, it just goes to turbo again. So there is no double tap to leave turbo like on some lights. However, one thing it does have is a moonlight mode. So that's awesome. Notice that when I'm at low here, there's a lower mode than this, and that is turn it off, press and hold until you see it, and that is the moonlight. You can see how low that in fact is. That is not memorized. Now that I've turned it off, if I turn it back on, it goes to low. There is also a lockout mode. What you do is you press and hold to go to moonlight like that, and you let go. And while you're in moonlight, you press and long hold again until it shuts off with confirmation blinks like that. Now you are locked out, and anytime you tap, it's just going to confirm that's locked out by flashing once, which I prefer. Lights that don't do anything when they're locked out are annoying because I don't know if the battery's dead or what's going on. So I like a confirmation blink that it's locked out. So you press and hold, and then it will confirm by blinking, and now you can resume operation. Okay, let's take a look at the lumens. So we'll start with the moonlight, okay? So I'm gonna press and hold to get that moonlight on. I'll shove it in the hole here, and we can see that I'm reading less than a lumen, about half a lumen. Now let me go up my range a little bit, and let's go make sure that I'm on low. Okay, so I'll just make sure I'm at the bottom of the ramp there. There is low, and low is reading about 13 lumens, which is really, actually I like around 10 lumens for walking around at night. If I'm sneaking around a sleeping loved one, I want moonlight. But at night around the house, I love 10 lumens. And then as you can see, it is indeed a ramping UI, so it's ramping up. And once we get to high, high is 500 lumens. That's already higher than the previous iteration of the Archer Mini. Now, if you double tap, it goes to 1100 lumens. When the battery's fully charged, I got it to peak at 1200 for a moment, but you can see it does start sagging or stepping down. It does have thermal properties. I say that again. The driver does have thermal protection, and so you can see it's stepping down. Also, that will help the longevity of the battery. So if you want to step back up, just double click again, and it'll go back up to the 1100, and then it'll start dropping a little bit. But, you know, the difference to your eyes between 500 and 1100 isn't a big deal as far as brightness or lumens, but as far as reach and candela, that's a big deal. So when you need it, just double tap, and you get your candela, and you can see what's out there. All right, let's take a look at this tint. So I'm going to be at about a high ramp here. Let me get up to the top here. So we're not turbo, but we're high. Let me take a sample. Yeah, let's put that on the right mode. Let's take a sample. And we got ourselves just under 6,000 K, and it's above the black body locus. And you can see that it is not a high CRI emitter. So this is an emitter that is about efficiency and brightness, and it's kind of neutral white to cool. I mean, neutral white is probably around 4,500 to 5,000. It's a little over that, but I think the cool range starts at around 6,000. So it's right in between neutral white and cool white. Let's take it outside and see some beam shots. Okay, I'm outside with the three lights that I want to compare. I got myself a Raylight Mini Pineapple with a Nichia 219 B SW45K. I got myself the Zebralight SC64 CLE. This has an LH351D Samsung emitter in it at 5,000K. And, 4,000K. And this is the ThruNite Archer Pro that we are going to be measuring, and well, let's take a look at how they fare. So note that I've got my white balance locked at 5,000K, and the exposure is locked as well. So let's start with the Pineapple Mini. Let me go straight to turbo. Okay, I was on turbo, but let me try again. There we go. So straight to turbo, and you can see that it's a little bit floody, you know, for a single emitter. And it puts out pretty good out there. I'm hitting that tree out there for sure, but I don't know that I'm hitting the trees in the back at all, so I'm definitely not making the 150 meters away. But we can see that we're hitting the foreground nicely and those trees. All right, let's take a look at the Zebralight with the Samsung LH351D in it. And so let me make sure that I'm on turbo, and I am. And this thing has considerable more throw. Bigger light, obviously, 18650. We're making those trees no problem. I don't know that I'm making the ones in the back there, but we're getting all the way down the street to those cars. This is a much better light. Now let's take a look at the ThruNite Archer Pro as comparison. And so I'll go to turbo, and look at that. This is even throwier, I think. Let me see. Is this throwier? So I'm looking at these two trees here. Oh yeah, there's more candela. It's hitting those much harder. You're just trying to identify things. So there you go. That's how they stack up. For a tiny little light that you can easily slip in your pocket, this is a easy light to recommend. First off, it's $40 on Amazon, but there's a coupon right now with 20% off, so it's like $33, $34. So, I mean, for the price, and it includes a battery and charging, pretty cool light, pretty good price. And with the new improved UI, much easier to use. And then with the higher output, that's awesome too. I think that this is a good light for people that are new to flashlights and don't want something complicated. And I also think it's a great backup light and a worthy successor to the ThruNite Archer Mini.